What's going on, all you wild archaeologist enthusiasts out there? Your two favorite Indiana Jones impersonators back here for Cinephellas. I'm Logan Myers, my good mate over there.
And I'm Henry Hill, and that's right, we're back talking about the brand new Indiana Jones film. It's been talked about for a few years now. It's been 15 years since Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Boo. The one that saw Shia LaBeouf, potentially take up the mantle for Indiana Jones once he was done. That didn't work out. It didn't make crap at the box office. Here we are 15 years later with Harrison Ford in his 80s now, playing Indiana Jones for the final time, this time for director James Mangold. We're talking about, what's it called?
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Sorry. But I've been looking for this all my life.
And that's right, old grumpy Harrison Ford is back with the last installment in the Indiana Jones franchise, so they say. But I don't think this guy can pull off any more movies in this role. But him returning as Indiana Jones, obviously the famous archaeologist from 1981, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out and set up 4 other films after that, and then finally returning with a different director, James Mangold, huge fan of his, and him taking the helm of the new film and basically setting it up. The beginning is a de-aged Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. The setup is it's 1945. He's trying to retrieve this artifact, from the Nazis, and he comes across the dial and basically sets up the rest of the film.
And that's where we meet up with the villain of the film, Dr. Voller, played by Mads Mikkelsen. A familiar villain that we're used to, playing Hannibal Lecter on the TV series. He was in Casino Royale, the villain in that movie. So a good actor to play the villain, something to get us excited for seeing this film. And like you mentioned, working with James Mangold, who of course made Logan, about an aging Wolverine. It was phenomenal. So a lot of hype and intrigue going into this film, seeing Harrison Ford step back into the role. Right away, you're thrown back into a de-aged Harrison Ford. And, for as good as it looks, it's still that uncanny valley. When they use CGI to de-age these actors, it looked kind of strange for the Irishman. After a half hour, 20 minutes of that, you got used to it, but it was still glaringly obvious. And, like I said, as good as it looks now, it's still not perfect. It still looks inhuman. And you have Harrison Ford at 80 years old voicing a younger version of himself. So it's this younger looking Harrison Ford that looks like how he did back in, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom, but with this old, gruff, grumpy voice. So it's just kind of, right away, it's like, strike one here.
Didn't start off on the right foot. I'll say
No.
that. I mean, the CGI didn't look good in this movie at all, really, throughout the entire movie, for me at least. Especially beginning the de-aged, it just looked weird. I just couldn't get into it. And just all the obviously they're in front of a green screen with all the shots in the beginning with the Nazi and train scene and all this other stuff going on. So it just kind of takes you out of it. Back in the day, they go more the practical effects route, like doing all these crazy action scenes. And you can tell this is like very lazy.
Yeah, when you see Indiana Jones, you want to see him doing cool stunts. I mean, at least have Harrison Ford, jumping a little bit or doing some of the cool kind of action scenes that he did. He really doesn't do anything like that in this film. He just can't move like he did, and he got hurt during the filming of this. So very limited the action. It's if you're going to have an Indiana Jones film, there's got to be some action involving Indy, and there just wasn't a lot of that in this film. And when it was done, it was at the beginning with a de-aged Harrison Ford, a stunt actor, obviously playing the younger body of him, and it just takes you out of the film right away. I will say that beginning sequence was the most that it felt like one of the older indie movies to me. Like this film felt totally different than the rest of the other Indiana Jones movies. Even Crystal Skull, for as goofy and hokey as that was, I felt like that was more in line with the other three and captured that feel. And I think that this Indiana Jones, what it's missing here was Steven Spielberg. I think he's the only one that could make this a film that harkens back to that original trilogy. Well, include Crystal Skull in there because even that, felt more like an Indiana Jones film. This felt like something a lot different, which is cool, and we expected a lot with James Mangold, but unfortunately it just didn't fit this character and it didn't look like he was having any fun. I don't think I don't remember Harrison Ford ever smiling as Indiana Jones in this. He's just always in a bad mood and nothing made him happy. And it's just like, at least have him crack some jokes and act youthful for a scene or two.
That's all we're getting out of Harrison Ford as of late. A grumpy old man, just a paycheck, and it's like, just stop doing it if you don't enjoy it anymore. But yeah, it didn't look like he had a good time in this movie, and the tone was all over the place. Third act was a mess. Just not a really fun movie. I was kind of bored. I looked at my watch, my phone quite a bit watching this, which is never a good sign that the writing and the story is not really drawing your attention. And that's how I felt with this. I'm one of the few people out there that I'm not a real big Indiana Jones fan to begin with. I watched them as a kid, but I was never like super excited for more movies. And why did we need this? I don't know. Just the overall final product of this movie was very disappointing, kind of a boring movie, a little too long, and just wasn't really into the story. And with that being said, I'm going to give Indiana Jones 5. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 Harrison Ford hair pieces.
It's also worth mentioning that Phoebe Waller-Bridge played Helena, his kind of sidekick in this. I thought she did a good job. I appreciated her character. It just, unfortunately, it just didn't gel too much with Indiana Jones. Outside of some scenes like that, she's a good actress. So I bought her in the role as being this kind of like scheming, archaeologist that wants to kind of gain some fame out of it, at least, a new generation type of archaeologist. But the answer to as if she could, pick up the mantle for Indiana Jones after this in a solo film, I don't think so. I don't see that. I heard she is signed up for a Lara Croft Tomb Raider series, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see if she can pull that off. She's a good actress, but yeah, nothing really great about this film at all. It was cool seeing some of the older characters come back, but there just wasn't a lot of joy, and I wasn't like, yeah, cheering or anything. Not a lot of good kill scenes. Usually we have some pretty brutal kills in the Indiana Jones series. This one didn't really have too much outside of in the beginning with the train sequence with like maybe some people getting killed there, but nothing really stands out, which is unfortunate. Even Crystal Skull had some memorable scenes for me that I can still remember. This one's just like, I don't really, can't really recall a great action scene. Some awkward, Antonio Banderas is like an old sea captain for like 5 minutes. That's just didn't feel like Indiana Jones to me. It's not totally terrible or anything. It's just kind of forgettable. And they should have ended this franchise after The Last Crusade. The last two were just not necessary. Everybody wanted to see Harrison Ford as this character again, but he's just too old to play that. It's meant for a youthful vibe with the character, him being old and not having a great time, not able to move fast anymore. With that being said, I'm going to give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 3 out of 5 Marion hair pieces. No, Wendy.
Yeah, we'll say there were some cool scenes in the movie, some old characters that pop up along the way without spoiling anything, but overall just kind of a misfire with this film. I know when you left the theater, you texted me right away. You're like, that's exactly how I felt too. But maybe some people out there will enjoy it a lot more than we did. I don't want to bash on it. It's not a terrible movie. It's not a great movie, and it's definitely not a movie we needed. But hey, it's a summer blockbuster if you want to, check it out in the theater.
Something to check out if you need a movie to get you by until Mission Impossible and some of the other blockbusters come in. It only made $60 million, which was well under their expectations. Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy not having a great track record at the box office lately. So they're going to have to be careful in the future and mainly get the stories right and get people involved that are going to be enthusiastic about what they're doing, not just go on nostalgia. You can't do that. You have to mix it with good acting and people that want to be there and, all that. So with that being said, we want to hear from you guys what you guys thought about the movie. Did you guys like The Dial of Destiny more than these two old archaeologists? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to click like, comment, and subscribe. Also check out our website, cinephellas.com, and all our social media pages for the latest and greatest TV movie news and reviews. So until the next Cinephellas movie review, cheers!
Cheers!